25 years ago, the internet was still a novelty accessed through a slow dial-up modem that tied up the landline phone you relied on for communication. 15 years ago, Facebook was just opening its social network to anyone 13 and older. And 10 years ago, it was still a private tech startup on the verge of an IPO. Now, Facebook is one of the world's most valuable companies with 3 of the biggest social media apps: Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, used by billions of people, and one of the world's most controversial and socially disruptive businesses. Facebook also has a new name, Meta, and a new focus, the Metaverse. So, what is the Metaverse? Will it be, in 10 years, as important a part of your life as the internet and social media? And if it is, would that be a good thing? Now, what is the Metaverse? The Metaverse is an immersive internet experience that lets you replace or augment reality with the computerized simulations that strives to be as realistic as possible. Essentially, it's a world of endless, interconnected visual communities where people can meet, work, and play using visual reality headsets, augmented reality glasses, smartphone apps, and other devices. And they can also shop. Meta described the Metaverse as the next evolution of social connection. 3D spaces where you can socialize, lean, collaborate, and play in ways that go beyond what we can imagine. CEO Mark Zuckerberg showed off some examples in his 2-hour presentation to unveil the Meta rebrand and Facebook's new focus, which CNET has sliced down into 10 minutes. Did Facebook invent the Metaverse? No, the name is attributed to Neil Stephenson in 1992 science fiction classic Snow Crash, but the idea is even older. Stephenson's vision of the Metaverse owed the debut to Werner Vinge in 1981, True Names, and to a series of William Gibson novels from 80s. Both of those authors owed a debut to Milton Higgs in 1962, Sensorama Machine, and on we go, back in time to Plato's shadow on a cave wall. The first visual reality VR headset was created at MIT in 1968, and the technology progressed in fits and starts until a company called out Oculus made a big leap forward in 2011. Now, all the big tech companies, Google, Microsoft, Apple, plus major gaming platforms are involved. What we see is Metaverse hardware and software as the $1 trillion market. When did Facebook get involved? Facebook bought Oculus in 2014 for $2 billion. At the same time, Zuckerberg predicted that Facebook would become a metaverse company where people could share not just moments with your friends online, but entire experiences and adventures. So, this isn't just an attempt to distract everyone from Facebook's return of scandals. Not entirely, but Facebook critics say the timing isn't coincidental. If you don't like the conversations, you try to change the conversations. What will we do in the metaverse? Currently, Zuckerberg said, Meta is focusing on creating visual office spaces where people working from home can gather as if in person. Plus, visual homes people can design and host a real friend for Metaverse games. You will also be able to attend concerts, travel to distant cities and natural wonders, and, of course, shop for visual clothes and goods that will exist in your visual worlds. Theoretically, when the technology is good enough, the possibilities are as broad as our imaginations. It will make our world feel like Harry Potter. Magic is fun, but just like a wizarding world, there is a dark side. Instead of just kind of being in our own information bubbles, we are going to be segmented into our own custom realities. Is that a bad thing? Well, the Metaverse, as invented in Snow Crash, was a thing that people used to numb themselves when their lives were horrible in Stephenson's dystopia. So, beyond the fact that these immersive environments are extremely addictive and they encourage people to unplug from the reality we actually live, folks should be worried. Shane Frayne, CEO of holographic tech startup Looking Glass Factory, tells Insider, if you think Facebook on your phone has been bad for a democracy, think about the entire field of view controlled by a company like that, allowing people to literally walk through the world in a reality created by Facebook, and the people it tells your data to would open dangerous new vectors of misinformation and silo people even further in their ideological bunkers. Will people trust Facebook with their visual lives even more? Zuckerberg is making a big bet that people will consider the downside towards the draw of the metaverse, and he could be right. Maybe it will even help Meta retain some of the younger users to its losing to Snapchat and other competitors. But Eugene and others are worried. If your employer decides they are now a metaverse company, you have to give out way more personal data to a company that demonstrated that it rise whenever it is in its best interests. Zuckerberg isn't building the metaverse because he has a remarkable new vision of how things could be. Half an hour into his meta video, he talks about how humbling the last few years and have been for him and Facebook, but he's not humbled by the program of Russian disinformations or the spread of anti-vax misinformations or the challenge of how Instagram affects the teen body image. No, he humbles by how hard it's to fight against Apple and Google, faced with the question of whether Facebook core products are eroding the foundation of the democratic society. Zuckerberg takes on a more pressing problem. Apple's 30% cut on a digital goods sold in its app stores. Will the metaverse be expensive? If you're not paying for the product, the tech action goes. You are the product. When the internet was first shifting from novel to the central aspect of our modern lives, lots of smart people wondered how anyone could make money if everything is free. Some industries, like journalism and recorded music, are still trying to figure out. Companies like Google and then Facebook have figured out how to become ridiculous ways by offering services that people want to use. The only cost being huge amount of people data they collect about you and sell to people who want to convince you to buy their products, filter, or way of seeing the world. Ads are going to continue being an important part of the strategy across the social media parts of what we do, and it will probably be a meaningful part of the metaverse too. We are still going to use the metaverse, aren't we? The metaverse is real because of its enormous resources and ownership of Oculus. We're likely to be one of the winners, but it won't be the only one. The goal of the metaverse developers is to create an infrastructure like the internet where people can seamlessly bounce from one visual reality to the next. And while Meta is trying to draw consumers into the metaverse with the promise of making their fantasies come true, other companies like Microsoft and Magic Leap are more quietly focusing their AI efforts on the industrial application like design, manufacturing, and advertising. When will the metaverse hit the mainstream? Visual reality has been the next big thing for many years, and the safety prognosis is that we are much closer than we were in the early 1990s. The metaverse Zuckerberg show off in his video doesn't have to solve those problems. He's promising future technologies that are 5 to 10 years off. But the larger challenge for Zuckerberg and other metaverse creators is that the metaverse isn't about building perfect visual escape hatches. It's about holding a mirror to our own broken, shared world. Facebook's promised metaverse is about distracting us from the world it's helped break.